Hello guys, this is Drackle, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build my new compact drowning trap. Those sheep just got owned. And as you can see, it doesn't really matter how many there are in there. I've seen 20 mobs in there all stacked together, and they still don't fall out the bottom. And as you can see, it is very compact. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was that 6 blocks, 7 blocks tall? The one I'm going to build today is only going to be 5 blocks tall. So it's going to be very compact, in other words. Yep, so this is an effective trap. Originally I used a lava blade for this system, but it was burning up too much of the farm animal loot. So I realized I needed to do a drowning trap, and I came up with it sort of spur of the moment kind of thing. And that's for chickens. Chickens are the bane of my existence. I probably should have separated them first, but anyway, I'm going to teach you how to build this thing. It's actually really easy. You can build it in 15 minutes tops. And let's get started. Alright, so building this trap is actually fairly easy. What I did was build a glass encasement, 5 blocks high. And yes, you should build it out of glass. And I built a... Die, chicken, die! I built a ladder to get myself up and down easier. Optional, obviously. And as you can see, it's just 2 by 2 inside. And that's all there is to that. It's quite simple. Now you're gonna have to build. I'm assuming you have your own delivery system for the trap. In other words, you have your own way to move the mobs into the trap. But I'll show you how it has to be done, how to connect it to your trap. And you need at least a 2-block drop into the trap. So we'll start off. Oops, by building that up. Okay, and this is how big the drop has to be. And you can obviously make this this drowning trap bigger or smaller depending on your needs. This is fine for just about every mob. Even spiders will fit in there and die. Alright, so now we're going to make just a quick demonstration. This is not going to be anything special. Now this is going to be let's see, a 2 by 2 canal, which is fairly standard, what most people use these days. Now you can do two things. One, you could make this canal run and do the 8-block thing, so the water would end perfectly right at this edge. Or if you can't do that, well, there's an easier way to do it. What you want to do is take your signs, and you're going to need a bunch of signs for this. Not too many, but say we have the water against that block and it's flowing down in here. Well, obviously if I do this, it's going to flow down, and we don't want that happening because that's going to mess up the trap a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is put signs here, and we're going to put one here, and we need 2 more. And we're going to do the sign on the sign trick, if you haven't seen this before. You aim for the edge of the sign, then right click. You can have a sign on a sign. And what that's going to do is stop the water from flowing through. It's basically like putting a block like right here. Oops. Right. Okay, fail. Alright, it's basically like putting a block. Wow, I'm totally failed today. It's basically like putting a block right there. That's what the water sees when it tries to move through. It sees this sign as a solid block, so it can't get through. Okay, do the same for the other side. Alright, now we could pour our water in. And this is a demonstration. Obviously you can use whatever you want. Alright, and as you can see, that will hold the water up just perfectly, so they'll fall straight in. And now you can cover this up like this, so they have there's a wall there they can't get through. And you don't have to use glass for this part. Okay, now we're gonna do the bottom of the trap. And the way this works is it works basically like it has the same concept as a mob elevator, and if you've seen me make those before, you know you have to put source water blocks all the way up, because that's the only way mobs will swim upwards. Well, this kind of works on the same principle. What we're going to do is put signs here, 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 and here. I don't have to put them in every block because I actually You actually can't because the signs wrap around corners. I'm right-clicking right now, but I can't put it there, or there, or there, etc. Now what we're going to do is put solid source water blocks uh, on this level here. And the reason that's going to work is when the mobs fall down, they're going to hit this bottom layer, and they're going to be like, oh, that's source water blocks. I can swim up now. And that's how mobs behave. Where's my water pool? Here it is. That's how the mobs behave. And that's the same way they behave in a mob elevator. That's how it works. But in this case, they can't go up because it's only going to be source water at the bottom and at the top. So what's going to happen is they're going to break the surface and that fall. They're going to sink down to the bottom here with these source water blocks. And they're like, oh, I can swim now. And they'll try to swim up, but they can't. They can't go up. They can't go down. They're going to get stuck in the middle and die. Okay, so one source water block here, one source here. I probably should have made this thing closer or brought more buckets, either one. Okay. One source block here and here. And I'm going to make sure I have source water in all of them. Yep, that's source water, even though it looks kind of weird. But that'll work. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to go back up to the top. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the top. Like this. Now there's all this crap in my way. Alright. Alright, now we're going to place the water properly to drown them. And I use 2 source water blocks rather than 4 up here because I find it's easier. It's more effective just in case, because if you have 4 source water blocks, sometimes the mobs will fall and they won't break the surface and they'll jump up and down a little bit before they actually fall in later and drowned. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm only going to put 2 source water blocks here. I'm going to put one here and one here. And what that's going to do, even if they fall into this source water here, it's going to, and they jump up and down, it's going to push them to this side and they're going to sink down. But they're not going to fall through like I did. Because of how mob behavior works, they're going to hit this bottom layer of source blocks and they're going to try to swim upwards. So that's pretty much it. That's how you make the trap. It's actually that simple. Now I put the 2 source blocks up top on that side. It doesn't really matter what side you put them on. You can put them on this side. You can even put them on this side here and have them washing back towards that way. But I wouldn't put them on this side going that way because this is the side the mob's falling on. But yeah, that's the entire trap. That's it. As you can see, it's very difficult for me to swim upwards. Once I get to the top, I get pushed into this corner here, which I fall straight down. And when the mobs get here, they're going to try to swim up, so they're going to die. Now the loot's going to drop out here. So you can do whatever you want. You can either stand right here and pick up the loot, or you could have a canal system to move the loot. That should be very easy. And then you would pour your water in here, and it would take the loot wherever you want. And every 7 levels you dig down 1, so you can move the loot. And that's it. That's our drowning trap. It's very compact. Like I said, including the drop, it's 7 blocks tall. It can fit just about anywhere, and it's really easy to make. You can make this trap in 10 minutes if you really wanted to. So I hope I try to explain it the best way I could. So I hope it made sense. If you have any questions, send me a PM or a comment or whatever. But that's my compact drowning trap.